Aquarius workshop, the Christ consciousness is awakening. I start with a quote from Password Lecture 233 with the title, The Power of the Word. Let the light of truth and love fill your day, fill your actions, fill your attitudes toward yourself, and let the involuntary constructive forces of the Christ consciousness take over and carry you to create and recreate, thus making your life the glory that is yours to behold and to experience. End of quote from Password Lecture 233. The purpose of this incarnation is to give birth to the power of the eternal Christ consciousness through a process of development whereby we bring light and truth into our dark and temporarily distorted aspects. This power of Christ is always there and has always been there. Only we have forgotten it and are cut off from this power of love. Feelings of guilt, worthlessness, fear and mistrust prevent us from letting the Christ consciousness, our true identity, take charge of our lives. Only by gently taking responsibility for our painful distortions of beauty, love and truth, and compassionately accepting each immature aspect, can we restore the connection with the Christ consciousness. In this workshop, we will explore, with a loving curiosity, three fundamental themes about this intense process of awakening. The first theme: let the Christ be born in you. If we lack the courage to purify our souls, we cannot bear the joy and peace of the Christ within us, and we fear it. Jesus Christ said, "He who would live must be allowed to lose his life." This means that we must let go at the level of the ego, not force ourselves, but honestly accept every aspect of ourselves so that we can gain at the level of the true self, the power and wealth of the Christ consciousness. The next quote comes from Password Lecture 239. In the New Age, the energy, the impetus, the power of the Christ has newly risen. It is not a sentimental meek force by any means. It has tremendous power. Its strength sweeps your earth sphere, and those of you who are ready and have the courage, the inner courage, to make room for joy, for pleasure, to make room for ecstasy, can experience the Christ within. You can give birth to the Christ in you. End of quote from Password Lecture 239. The second theme: Jesus showed us the way. According to the Pathwork readings, Jesus as a human being was the embodiment of the Christ, the human aspect of God. Jesus did not exactly know his task, and he had to go through these earthly trials without knowing the why and the purpose. And despite all the trials, he remained faithful to God. His life and death symbolically showed the redemption process to reach the light. His resurrection symbolizes eternal life in bliss after the ego has gone through a painful process of crucifixion. The next quote stems from Password Lecture 248. When the Christ manifested God as man, and was thus both divine and human, he accomplished the greatest feat imaginable. He proved that it is possible to remain true to God, true to truth, and not succumb to the strongest of influences that the personification of evil could unleash. Through this tremendous act of steadfastness, the man who was God and the God who was man opened the doors in the souls of all created beings. It meant that those who were submerged in darkness could gradually find their way back to light. End of quote from Password Lecture 248. The third and last theme. The three aspects of salvation. Before Jesus incarnated, man was convinced that he could not be forgiven and was doomed to eternal suffering, so he was not motivated to purify himself. The redemption of the incarnated Christ means infinite forgiveness and acceptance of the lower self aspects for all incarnated people. It means the ability to find a way back to the true self, so that the true self can merge with the Christ and truly become one. Our task is to consciously choose this, work on it in brotherhood, and ask Christ for help to know and nurture all immature aspects. Now the last quote comes from Password Lecture 258. Firstly, only you yourself can affect your salvation. It is your responsibility. Second, you cannot possibly do it alone. You need the help of others who share the journey with you, who may often see what you do not see. Thirdly, without God, without the personal assistance of the personal aspect of God, the undertaking is too vast to accomplish. End of quote from Password Lecture 258. For more information you will find on my website. I wish you peace and all the best. Thank you.